you can use literally any sound to make music. Like slapping a lemon, that sound is probably going to be closest to a clap sound. While you're recording sounds, I want you to be thinking about building a range of percussion. I kind of like this rhythm that I found just by slowing it down. Let's fine tune this pitch shift. Almost feels like it's playing a triplet drum fill. I'm going to add a reversed sound onto that. Yeah, I like that. Sampling deals with the manipulation of recorded audio, so you can use literally any sound to make music. It might be something that comes from media that someone else created, where you might have to worry about copyright, but we're gonna record our own sounds for this project. So you'll need something to record sounds with. It could be a microphone going into your audio interface and then into your DAW. I usually use the Zoom H6 recorder with this shotgun microphone attachment. It saves WAV files to an SD card that I can then bring into Ableton. Or you could even use your phone and then send those recordings to your computer. While you're recording sounds, I want you to be thinking about building a range of percussion, trying to find sounds that remind you of kicks, snares, hi-hats, toms, bongos, shakers, claps. Lastly, if there's any kind of sound effect that you can get, that's great too, scrapes and sweeps, or any kind of sound that doesn't necessarily remind you of an instrument, but it's just a cool sound. There are two reasons that I want you to be collecting as much material as possible. The wider the range of sounds that you have, the more you'll be able to learn about different ways to compose with these samples, to manipulate them. The second thing is just something I've learned after doing lots of these kinds of challenges, but musicians have learned to use certain kinds of sounds really well. And that's why I say to think about instruments while you're recording your sounds. Sometimes when people watch my sampling videos, they just see it as a bunch of random sounds, and they don't really understand how it can work musically. It just seems kind of magical because there's no instruments there. But really, I'm using those things in very established musical instrument roles. Like for instance, to create a drum beat. A drum beat will often have a snare or a clap somewhere near the 2 and the 4, usually right on the 2 and the 4. It'll have a hi-hat playing a faster, more regular pattern that keeps time, and then it'll have a kick drum that gives you these big low accents. That kind of beat just sounds really good to humans, and you almost never see those roles swap out. So if you're using a sample, even if it seems really weird, like slapping a lemon, that sound is probably going to be closest to a clap sound. So it's probably going to work best in places where you usually use a clap. One more thing before we record, think about objects and exciters. The object is the thing that makes the sound, and the exciter is the thing that makes the thing make the sound. It can make a big difference. Let's go record some sounds. Hopefully you have a whole bunch of recordings now. You're gonna bring them into your DAW, and this is the real fun part. We're going to organize them. So this involves cutting your file down to the individual chunks of audio that you will need. I do this visually a lot of the time. And then also going through and removing anything that you know you don't want to use, and then also putting things on individual tracks according to kind of a sonic category. Call this pot hits. Now we'll keep really roughly chopping a bunch of things and listening. All right, we got a couple pot swipes. That's the drawer opening, I think. We'll go to texture hit there. No idea what that is, but let's start a kick drum category, because that'll probably be kind of kicky. A snap. We got a microwave. That little piece in between the beeps is cool. Texture for that. Sometimes when I come across a rhythm like this, I keep that whole thing. Like I could chop this note out, but I like it as part of this little groove here. Let's add it to its own track called rhythm. Because we don't have that many different tonal sounds, I'm just gonna make this a tones track. Those are all kind of snappy. Okay, a bunch more tonal sounds. So now we have this nice little layout of all the sounds at our disposal. The project is organized. If there's any particular sound I'm looking for, I know exactly where I can find it. I can also audition similar sounds really easily. I don't have to go hunting through the timeline. All the similar things are in the same place. So let me walk you through all the main ways that I work with samples. And it focuses on a lot of sort of basic DAW functionality. It's a lot of cut and paste, it's volume, it's pitch, it's EQ. And then after that, it's doing all the usual musical stuff, the stuff that we do with instruments, composing and arranging and processing, all of that, we're just working with sounds from our kitchen. All right, we're gonna start with these kick drums. I kind of like this rhythm that I found just by slowing it down. And then maybe we'll use that as like a little fill. So let's make another track. We'll call it Fill. And I'm gonna EQ this one differently because this one will not need low end. I'm gonna throw that fill over here out of the way for a bit. I'm gonna consolidate this just so that it's one file. If you don't have this kind of consolidation function within your DAW, it's the same thing as exporting the audio as its own little thing rather than having to deal with that cut in the middle where I faded it. So I did go into my recording with a bit of a vibe in mind. I felt like creating a beat that was a bit on the slower side and very textural. So I'm thinking about starting with this kick. This sort of kick rhythm. I feel like maybe if we just drag our tempo around so that that little click lines up where a snare might go. And let's grab a temp snare sound, one of these hits. Sure. Gonna insert a bunch of silence to work with. And let's fine tune this pitch shift to see what this kick drum pattern could sound like. I kind of like that. There's a nice roll to it. And then I'm debating about keeping this background noise in. I'm gonna take it out for now. Let's get our snare sound sounding cool. I'm thinking about that kettle. Okay, yeah, I like that clap from the kettle closing. Let's put that on here. And let's remove this temp one. I don't want that yet. Something I think would be cool actually is having the snare be a little different on each hit. I'm gonna use the kettle sound each time, but I'm going to accent it with different additional sounds. Yeah, I'll grab all of these. Let's see what we can make. A couple new perk tracks, and we'll just do some layering. Oh, is this almost like an open hat? Yeah, okay, I'm stumbling across some rhythms that I like. Now using this first pot hit as a kind of hi-hat sound. Yeah, definitely going for kind of a wonky groove here, but just to help us keep time, I'm gonna put a really standard offbeat hi-hat sound. Let's use a shaker, actually. Yeah, that was the pepper grinder, that's pretty good. Gonna pitch shift it up so that the whole movement of that sound is quicker. A little too far. That feels like about halfway, maybe slightly earlier. Now this is too early. Let's put it right on beat. Also, I wasn't happy with this sound. Yeah, that's better, a little tighter. And is the tone of our clap where we want it? Let's pitch shift it and see. Still want this hat to do a even more offbeat thing. Maybe it needs to fade in, not be quite so aggressive. Yeah. Now I can go earlier. Even the first one could have a slight fade to it, just reducing the harshness of that first transient. Maybe we'll pitch this one even further up. All right, I'm just gonna keep on building drums into this loop. We probably won't use all of them at once, but building onto this one groove and then being able to take away different parts for different sections is a cool approach to take. You can keep on piling stuff onto the same idea and then kind of create new sections subtractively, taking away what's there in different combinations to find different feels. What would be easy to put in? How about that shaker? Yeah, let's make another shaker track. And I'm just gonna pitch shift this around until it matches our tempo. We'll have to put the first beat on a metronome hit and then just move the pitch around. That's good, but I'm feeling it as double time. So if you ever want to double something or have it, remember that an octave is twice as high or twice as low. So pitch shifting something by 12 semitones or 1 octave creates that exact doubling or halving in tempo. Yeah, I'm gonna grab the first 2 beats of that. Got a bit of background room tone here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use a plugin that's really helpful for cleaning up this kind of consistent background noise. It's called Sound Soap. It is not free, unfortunately, but it is super helpful. You just play a part of the file that contains only the noise you want to get rid of and click Learn. And it reads like the mix of frequencies in that noise and removes them kind of magically. Sometimes you can hear that it's affected the sounds that you do want to keep, but it usually does a pretty good job. So I'm going to compress this shaker. First of all, I'm going to turn the volume up so there's more for the compressor to chew on. And now what I think I'm going to do is warp it. And this is an Ableton specific feature, but it allows you to keep the timing of a clip the same even if you change the pitch of it. So now that I've found the timing that I want for it, I can move this pitch around. without affecting the speed of it. Not only that, but you can warp time. So I want some of these shaker beats to be a little bit later. It's got more of a shuffle to it now. Let's hear that in our original beat. This shaker's a bit late now. All right, let's keep looking at other sounds we could add in. Oh, we had that fill. Let's just put that on the tail end of our loop. Line it up here. And maybe we want it to start right on beat, so put it there and then just pitch shift it a little to line right up. Actually, there's kind of a second beat in it that I'm gonna line up with another, I guess it's a 16th note or an 8th note. Yeah. Almost feels like it's playing a triplet drum fill. I'm gonna add 2 more claps. Let's keep layering up these little clap snares. Which one do we want first? That one seems like it's bigger. I'll put it on the second one. Gonna find the exact slightly offbeat position we can put these to create an interesting feel. Yeah, they're a little loud, and I might try pitch shifting them too. Let's see what we can do with other kick patterns. I'm gonna mute this first kick track. Let's play with some other ones, just to create variations. Probably fade this one out. Shuffle. Yeah, I'm feeling this, and I actually want that kick rhythm to be longer, so I'm gonna duplicate this whole pattern and make this change to this kick pattern. It's just gonna be a slight variation, and actually probably get rid of this fill at the midway point, so it'll happen half as often now. Maybe this kick can be different on the second repeat. Yeah, that's cool. And you know what? Now I'm feeling like this hi-hat is a little short. I'm going to add a reversed sound onto that. Speed these up. Where were our other reverses? I did not stay organized. I know there were a couple more. Found it. Let's move it over. I think that first one will be the best for our purposes. Let's move this reverse track closer to our hi-hat. Let's actually move these hi-hats off the pot hit track and onto their own hi-hat track, because that's a new category. And we're gonna put this reverse track here, hopefully be able to use it to extend this hi-hat sound. Yeah, that's cool. Let's hear them together. It does kind of feel like it's part of the same single sound now. I'm just going to do some volume automation here because that reversing sound is almost too pronounced. What would this be like? Yeah, and then turn that sound down. I like that. It still swells a little bit into that clap sound, but it's a bit more consistent. It's not so dramatic. How often do we need this? We'll match it with that hat the second time the pattern repeats. I want to accentuate every other clap. The second one, I do want to be just a bit bigger feeling than the first. Got another clap sound there, but I feel like that's too similar to what we're already using. Let's look on our percussion tracks. Or maybe a snap. Oh, these are some really tasty snaps. I think I'm gonna layer them in now since I'm looking at them. And I don't know if I'm gonna use them as part of our clap or if this will just be kind of a new section where instead of claps we have snaps. Let's just see what it sounds like to put a different snap on each of these clap spots. I really like this one. Got a nice tone to it. We should clean these up. I think that's gonna be our main snap. And I'll put it on every 2 and 4. Turn it up a bit. And now we'll layer it with some of the other ones, and we'll use different ones each time. I'm not even a fan of that one. I'm going to delete it. So actually this is perfect. We got 4 other snaps, and I think, again, going to alternate between kind of a quieter one, kind of a louder one. And let's see how these double up. Yeah, I like that. This one was a bit loud. I'll bring it down. And that one isn't really doing enough for me. I'm going to swap it out for this one. And this one isn't lining up the greatest. That's better. Yeah, I like that. So we've got one snap giving us the consistency of that instrument, and then the other ones adding on to it and giving it a bit of a humanization. Okay, let's have a play maybe with some swipes now, since we have a lot of the major elements of the beat down, and now we can get into some I don't know, maybe I'll call them microfills, little parts of the beat that aren't some of the main instruments that we think of in a drum kit, but that can maybe be part of our percussive loop still.